That lot of y'all are probably watching on YouTube, but it's not the same. I cannot give a gulab jamun on YouTube. Yes, it's not the same. You'll all sing and dance here in front of Shri Radha and Krishna. It's not good. This mic. So in that sense, it's good to join, give just 1 hour a week. Thank you. I should not be telling this to you all because you've come. So you're wondering probably why I'm telling you. Okay, so we are going to start session 4 today, Art of Work. And to quickly revise and recap, in the first session we saw what is happiness exactly, right? We saw that why people get kind of mixed up with the idea of happiness. We're looking for happiness in so many things, but it's just like the fish out of water. And real happiness is when you dwell deeper and go deeper and look at how spirituality can actually benefit you, can actually give you true happiness. And then in the second session we saw all in the context, of course, of this great war, Mahabharata, right? We started with that. All this in one background of why the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. And we saw how Arjuna was on the battlefield, ready to fight against his own cousins, the Kauravas, yes. And Dhritarashtra, who is Arjuna's uncle, is blind not just externally but also internally. He didn't know what was right, what was wrong. He was so carried away by his wicked son Duryodhana. And then we saw Arjuna got totally nervous before the war began, and he said, no, I'm not going to fight. And that's where we saw many a times we are in that situation, right? So Bhagavad Gita is putting us or giving us a very nice background, a context all of us can relate to. Correct? All of us can relate to these confusions. And then Krishna says, well, Arjuna, what you have to do is develop your spiritual intelligence. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for this blessings. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So then, he says you develop your spiritual intelligence. Yeah, and that was a little difficult to understand. It's not like ordinary intelligence, which will tell you what's the difference, between ordinary intelligence and spiritual intelligence. Let me tell you, give you a little quick glimpse into it. The mind, we know, is always telling, no, this, no, this, yes, no, this, no, that. Goes on, right? All the time a conflict. And then when there is any situation which says that, look at me, how great I am. It says, how could I ever be wrong? So the mind will give you these situations where you feel that you are perfectly right and everybody else is wrong. And what does the material or the normal intelligence do? It says, look here, this is reason 1, tick, reason 2, tick, reason 3. Gives you 100 reasons why you are right. Yes? Will always tell you, you're right. You can never go wrong. Or, nobody can treat you like this. Nobody can do this. Because the intelligence will never let you down in that sense. But what does the spiritual intelligence do? It's a little different. The spiritual intelligence will tell you, well, what do you think? How do you think Krishna would have liked it if you do this? Yes, immediately tells that Bhagavad Gita, does it say this? Are you doing the right thing? That's spiritual intelligence. Did we get a little glimpse of the difference? Yes, little glimpse. Of course, we will have to study the Bhagavad Gita in order to develop a practice of what is real intelligence. And Krishna is telling Arjuna to develop this real spiritual intelligence. And then, of course, what were the ways we saw? Yeah, we've been seeing A, B, C, D, that how much more you associate with the devotees, how much more you read, how much more you chant, you get a spiritual experience. The deities and the kind of diet you eat, you get a spiritual experience, which is so important. And that spiritual experience is what develops your spiritual intelligence. Correct? Experience gives intelligence, everybody knows, isn't it? Wisdom. You develop wisdom with experience. You know that, oh, I've been there, oh, I've done that. And then you know, this time I will not do this because I know last time I said, wo galti ho gayi. So you know, so you develop a certain sense of intelligence. But spiritual intelligence is when you have spiritual experience. Correct? And that's why we had ABCD. And then in the subsequent session, we saw, okay, what did we see? Does anybody remember after what you know, Krishna told you about spiritual intelligence? What did you all learn in the last class? Does anybody remember? Yes?
Root cause of suffering.
Says there is, you know, develop spiritual intelligence. Krishna was hitting at the root. And he was trying to explain, Arjuna, look, the reason why you're so confused, so troubled, is something deeper. What's your name?
My name Diksha.
Diksha gave us such a wonderful answer. Yes, Diksha says spiritual intelligence, and she's been attending all classes so far. Yes, and developing her spiritual intelligence, which is so important. We are so busy developing other forms of intelligence, but this is what it is. This will take you a long way. And Krishna says the root cause, he divided into three. What were those three? Attachment, yes.
Contemplating on some sense object.
That's
Comparing.
Comparing. That's right. So three things we saw. One was, you know, all the time attachment is one big problem. And very nicely Mataji told the story of this boy who was a thief, yes, who ran away, and then this man realized that, arey, mera hi beta hai. Yes, my own son. And then how his perception completely changed. Similarly, when you have comparisons, we saw reference pointing. We say this. We call this reference pointing. When you always have a reference to somebody, something. And where do you get these reference points mostly in this age? Where do you feel like, oh, I know what he, she, they have, I don't have. Where do you get this from mostly? Social media. Somebody said, perfect. Social media. You scroll on Instagram and you see that, said, I don't have this. Yes, I don't look like that, I don't have this. And you begin to crib. And somebody on LinkedIn also, some of you may be on LinkedIn also, somebody does something and you feel, you know, you say, oh, congratulations and all, but under, you wonder, why not me? Yes, congratulations, but why not me? So you feel all the time a sense of comparison and miserable because of this, right? And the last one was, of course, what she said very nicely, that your senses are so uncontrolled, and that's the reason why you suffer. Correct? You do something so much, you feel that no, I'm controlled, but it doesn't happen. Yes, and you end up suffering. And even if it is very small thing like that extra gulab jamun that you ate because you couldn't control, and then you wonder how much more I have to run or jog or go to the gym, yes, to lose weight. But that's a very simple way of saying that, okay, that's simple suffering, that is okay. You feel that suffering is not so much. But when you look at we all look at our lives, it is this uncontrolled senses actually that's making us totally crazy. Right? So let's start today's session with prayers, and all of you can recite now. I think those of you who've been coming regularly know these prayers already. So let's recite together. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini. This prayer was to Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, who gave us Sri Bhagavad Gita in such a relevant, simple and relevant way. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakalane. I must tell you that today is also a very auspicious day. So you're seeing here Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and today is his teacher's birthday. So it's a very special day for us. His teacher, who we also remember when we offer our pranams to Srila Prabhupada, we also say Namaste Saraswati Devi. So that is actually Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who is the teacher, spiritual guru of Srila Prabhupada. So, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Right, so we dedicate this. Everything is because of Srila Prabhupada. So what are we going to do today? We are going to do a very interesting problem that we all face. Whether to face or not to face. Yes, the problem when we face, should we face or should we escape?
We should face.
So let's see how to face it. Yes, how to handle problems. The first one we'll talk about is how to face, whether we should face or whether we should escape. Then we will talk about what is good work and what is bad work. How do we understand this? Yeah, and many of us, the law of karma is supposed to be a law which India has given to the whole world. Do you know this? Yes, karma, this word has got into dictionaries from India. Right? It's such a, of course, the understanding of this law is universal. Yes, even in the Bible, Christianity, they have this, as you sow, so shall you reap. This is saying that they have whatever you sow, that's what you're going to reap, right? So if you put an apple seed, you're not going to get jackfruits. Can we? No, we can't. So if you sow apple, you're going to get apple trees, obviously. So that's karma. And finally, what we began with, that sometimes we don't want to do wrong things, but yet it seems like there is a force. Just do it. Yeah, we just do it and we'll see why. And then of course we'll have some open secrets and a little story. Yes, Krishna's story that we will share. I hope you all are enjoying those stories. And those stories are meant to give you a glimpse of the Supreme Lord Krishna and make us understand that this is not something fictitious. Yeah, it's so real that something happened many, many years ago. That's how Krishna was, how sweet. So here we are. Yes, Arjuna was a little confused because initially Krishna says develop spiritual intelligence. Correct? He says develop spiritual intelligence, don't rush into anything, all this. And then in the last session, you all saw that the solution to not getting distracted through either reference pointing or your senses, all that was what? What was the solution? Does anybody remember what the solution was? अभी Facebook देखना है What's the solution? How to stop? How to stop reference pointing? How to stop, taking decisions out of attachment, which is so difficult. Yes. How to stop that, and how to stop even or control our senses to some extent. How is that possible? What was the solution given to you? Nobody remembers?
Attaching to Krishna.
Okay, not yet. We didn't discuss about it yet.
Chanting.
That's all true. See, ABCD is forever true.
By sense control.
But we just no, not really. We discussed.
Understand what is temporary.
Right? All that is correct. All that is true in the background. ABCD will always hold good. But the solution that was given to you was duty. Do your duty. Develop a strong sense of duty. Wasn't this spoken last class? Yes, develop a strong sense of duty. Think of this in one way, okay? Suppose I always give this example of a parent. Okay, parents, they put so much efforts in bringing up their children. And as they reach teens, क्या होता है? When the children become teenagers, and some of you probably are teenagers, what do? You just brush away on your shoulders and says, how much you talk to your parents. Yes, you don't want to listen to so much that your parents are saying, and you have your own, your own decisions and things like that. And parents, what happens when children do this? They get very disappointed, right? They feel so sad and they say that मैंने तुम्हारे लिए कितना किया? I did so much for you. And what can the child say? Who asked you to? What will you do when the children turn around and say, who asked you to? Correct? You can't say anything. But Krishna never says that. Right? Krishna never says that. Krishna says, therefore, that do your duty. Just do your duty, which we will see now, as an offering to me. That's how we'll begin today's session. It's so important to understand that the solution that was given in the last class about doing your duty is to develop this mood gradually and eventually that I'm not doing this for this, A, B, C, D. No, not like that. And I'm not doing it with a sense of expectation that I am taking care of you, so when I grow old, you better take care of me. That's the usual thing, and that's the cause of so many problems, right? Mother-in-law, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, all problems arise for what? This problem. That you have so many expectations, right? But when you do your duty with a sense of duty, right? I have to do it. Then eventually and gradually you will kind of overcome these three problems that you discussed in the last session, right? So Arjuna was confused. He's saying that on the one hand you're asking me to develop spiritual intelligence, but on the other hand you're asking me to do my duty, action. So spiritual intelligence is more like Arjuna thought you must be detached in the sense of renunciation. You renounce everything. So it's like escaping. Yeah, Arjuna was thinking what? He was thinking through intelligence. My cousins, my own teacher, my parents, my grandparents, how can I fight? My uncle, all this, how can I fight against them? My relatives. And also he gave so many intellectual arguments we discussed in the second session, right? He said that this is not tradition. Yeah, and we saw that so many people might think, oh, Hare Krishna is not my tradition. We have something else in our family. So all kinds of intellectual arguments he was putting. And here Krishna is saying, do your duty, and there he is saying that develop spiritual intelligence. So Arjuna says, I am confused. He says, I don't know what to do. Should I renounce or should I work? And that's our confusion also. How should we face? So renunciation, escaping, we all know, inherently we know, intuitively we know that it's not good to run away from problems. Correct? Andar se we know that it's really not good to run away from problems. So renunciation is, when you're escaping, mostly what you do, I fought with my husband, I fought with my wife, and now I'm going to take sannyas. Yes, Krishna. Now I'm totally for you. Yes, I'm going to spend all my time in the temple. We can't stay even for a day in the temple if that happens. Right? We will not be able to spend a few hours also. So sometimes people take extreme steps. Yeah, and we say that rest in peace. How do we know whether that person has actually rested in peace or not? Makes no sense. Have you ever thought of this? Somebody who is giving up the body, in the sense of committing suicide, thinking that bas ho gaya, enough is enough. Now I'm going to rest in peace, and jumps from somewhere. Do you think he's going to rest in peace? No way. The scriptures say, Bhagavad Gita says, there's no way he's going to rest in peace. It's very important for us to, completely understand this. That we may probably put an end only to this body. Right? But there is a lot that is there still, we've seen. It's not just the physical body. So the mind is there, the intelligence is there, which is subtle, and it still goes. And of course, the soul is there. So there is no way you can quit your body and say, rest in peace. It's exactly like a person in jail who says, I'm going to run away from the jail. And what happens? Is given a bigger punishment when he runs away. Yes? Bigger, probably is taken to the most dangerous Yarauda jail, or I don't know which, the Thar desert or somewhere there. And because they know that this person is trying to run away. And similarly, when we try to run away from our problems, we are put into a bigger prison. So what we should understand, it's a continuity from last session, is the root cause. The root cause is not the prison. The root cause is my behavior. The way I am acting, that is the root cause, correct? So let's see this, this statement, inactivity is never a solution. Yes, not by doing anything. I can't say that I'm not going to respond at all. In this situation where, Mahabharata, who do you think was not acting at all? Inactive. Who was there? Okay, Bhishma Pitama was ready to fight. Okay, very good point. He was not taking any decision, yet he did decide to fight. Correct? He was not take a decision what we want. We want him to take a decision in favor of the Pandavas, but he didn't do that. So we feel that he is indecisive. But no, he acted. Who else? Dhritarashtra. Yeah, Dhritarashtra. He was totally inactive, no, nothing. He just was sitting there and watching what will happen with fear, with anxiety, right? So this is what it is, yeah, like our own life. We have exams, but a lot of training is given in the school before exam, right? So life is like that. We are given some training, and we may choose whether we want to get something from this school, yes, and pass the exam, or fail terribly, right? So we can either say I'm not going to write the exam, or we perform so badly. But there is a third option, to do well, right? To do well. And that is actually the moral of the story, that at least attempt the exam. Yes, running away will not help. Messing up also is bad, but at least you're attempting, and that I would say all of us are doing. Yeah, we're not running away. We're trying to understand. Yeah, we're trying to understand what this life has to teach us, so that we take the right exam and in the right way. Right? So, identify the right way to handle and face this exam of life. Right. So now we come to a very interesting understanding of good work and bad work. So now we are coming to the next concept discussed in the Bhagavad Gita, an important concept on karma. Right? And we always have heard this, that you do good, good will happen to us. Right? And mostly when you talk about a spiritual person, who is a spiritual person? A good person. Yeah, a person who does good to others. Yes, so we identify these people as spiritual people, religious people. But we'll see a very interesting thing today, that good work or bad work, how does it affect us? Yes. And is this alone enough to be qualified as a spiritual person? Okay. So let's take the example. I'm going to show you a few pictures and you tell me this first picture, is this good or bad?
Bad.
Bad? Both pictures are bad?
First is good, also bad.
First is good also, bad also. Second is bad, you're saying? Second is bad? Okay, she's saying first is good, maybe. Second is bad. Okay. What about this?
Good.
What about this?
Good.
Okay. So let's see, okay? Now I'm saying, let's begin with the first picture. So I think she got a little hint. She says it may be good. Why did you say it may be good?
Policeman point of view.
From the policeman point of view, it's good. The second person also could have been a police. Just because he doesn't have a gun, na? You know, in 9/11, this Havaldar, he had only a stick. And he stopped this Kasab only with that, right? You remember? This, not 9/11. What am I saying? This 26/11. Right? We all know when this attack happened, and this policeman who was a very small policeman who didn't have any gun, but what he had was a stick, and he tried to protect. So this could have been good also. Very good. Can this be ever bad? No, it couldn't be ever bad. What if I give charity to somebody who nicely drinks and beats up his wife? Who uses all the money to buy good big bottles, yes, and goes home and does what? Beats up his wife and children.
Charity is good for good and bad.
How?
Both.
Yeah, charity is also good and bad. Yes, charity also could be good or bad. Telling the truth? Now we know. Yes, now we know. The truth can also be sometimes bad. Just like, there's a little story in the Puranas where this cow is running away from a butcher. Somebody wants to kill the cow, and the cow is running away, and she goes and hides somewhere. And when this butcher comes, there is a sage who is meditating there, who's sitting, and he sees the cow go there. And this butcher asks the sage, "Where is it? Where is the cow?" So now the sage was thinking that, no, I must never lie. Yes, and he shows where the cow ran. But what happened? The cow died. And who was responsible? The sage. Right? So we know that it's not necessary that all truths are good. It's not necessary that all charity is good. It's not necessary that all killing is bad. All violence is bad. How do we understand this then? We understand this in a context. Very important. Right? We understand this in the right context. And therefore, when you talk about good or bad, one has to always remember that there are these different situations, right? And therefore, I need to explore and see who exactly is the authority behind whatever actions I do. So when I say killing may not be bad, we know killing may not be bad because it is authorized by the police. Had authorized it, the state had authorized it. Soldier in Kashmir, if he kills a soldier, if he kills the soldiers on the other border, we clap and we give him, Veer Chakra, all that, isn't it? So, who was the authority? The state was the authority. The government of India was the authority. And similarly, if you do anything wrong, in the sense the same soldier comes back home and he picks up a fight with his neighbor and shoots him down, what happens? He is punished. No Paramir Chakra for that. Yes, he is going to be punished and put behind bars. So we know this. Yeah, this is something which we need to very carefully come to a conclusion of good or bad. What is good and what is bad depends on so many things, especially, yes, authority, who is authorizing us, but also our intention. What was our intention? One who is, so we'll see this action by itself, maybe not wrong or maybe not right. It depends much on your intention. Therefore, we need to set standards, right? Set standards as in we need to follow benchmarks. Like we said just now, the police has a certain benchmark for what is violence, the government. And we have Bhagavad Gita for our life, giving us benchmarks as to what is right and what is wrong. Not everything you think is right, is a good action is right. Just as we saw in case of charity. And most often, charity we don't question at all. Yeah, and there are many such activities. We don't question them at all, thinking that this is perfectly right. But Bhagavad Gita has a certain set of rules given to us. This we know is outrightly bad or wrong. Correct? This is what? 9/11? Yes, when there were these planes which were guided by misguided men. Right? These planes were guided, but they were pilots. They were trained pilots. They were guided. The planes were guided. But who was misguided? They themselves were misguided. Correct? This is a big problem. And this is vikarma. The Bhagavad Gita classifies this very clearly. It says this is vikarma. Right? Something which is completely against authority, something which is against or very clearly giving out a wrong intention. When we want to hurt somebody, when we want to get our own, benefits, that is going to be bad karma, vikarma. Now this, we feel that, this is good karma, this is punya you're getting, this is good karma, you're giving a beggar something to eat, this may be considered as good karma. Now I'm giving you an interesting case. So we know good karma, we know bad karma, but now let's look at this case. What is this case? Here are two thieves, okay, and they are robbing. We know this is bad karma, we know this is wrong, they're robbing a bank very nicely. But after they rob, what they say? What is their deal? They say, both of us have to share equally. Fair? Yeah, both of us have to share equally. Both of us have put so much effort in robbing this bank. Both of us have to share equally. Now, one of them, he cheats the other. Okay? One of them says, no, I know, it makes a plan and takes away all the booty and runs away. Now, you wonder, the thieves were not honest or were honest? So funny. Can thieves be honest? Isn't it? We're seeing honest thieves. Means what? They are nicely dividing their loot among between themselves. So honest thieves. Something like that is our situation. I'll come to that. This is very funny because I'm doing something wrong and then I want to ascribe something good to it. Like this case also. Somebody is stealing. Robin Hood, we all know. What did Robin Hood do? The famous Robin Hood story, I don't know whether you all still talk about this or not, but famous Robin Hood, what did he do? He stole money from all the rich people and he gave it to the poor. Right? Because he thought that was right. But was he authorized? No, he was not authorized. But he was thinking he was doing good. Right? So we might feel that we are doing good. Probably I'm stealing from somewhere and I'm giving it in charity to somebody else. Right? But how can this be good? Yeah, this need not be good. But we have to understand that we may feel that we are very honest and we are dividing our property equally, or we are giving equal share for everyone. But what we don't understand is we are not giving credit to God, to Krishna, who has given us everything in the first place. Think about this for just a few seconds. Every single day, we breathe, we eat, we drink, water, all that, everything is given by Krishna. I'll tell you a little very funny story. There was this old man who he was very sick and he goes to the hospital, and the sickness is a very strange sickness. What is the sickness? That he cannot pass urine. That's a big problem he is having. So the doctors, they treat him, and somehow or the other, after a lot of surgery, this that interventions, he's fine, and they give him a big bill. And looking at that bill, and we all know, yes, what doctors are capable of. In Sanskrit, there is a very interesting subhashita which says that the Yamaraj, he takes away your life, yeah, but doctor takes away your life and your money, so he's worse. So then, no, not to say that, but yeah. So then this doctor, when he gives this big bill, he starts crying. So the doctor says, "Don't worry, it's okay. We can slowly pay it, or we can, somebody can help you. This, that. Everybody thinks that he's crying because of this big bill." He says, "No, no, no. I have enough money to pay the bill, but you know why I'm crying? Because all these years, he's 70 years old. He says, all these 70 years, I had no issues passing urine. Yes? It was because Krishna had given me this body, and he never charged me for that." Just think about it. It's such a small thing. He never charged me for that. Yes, every day we are able to see, we are able to walk, we are able to do all our regular routine, and Krishna is not charging us for these things. But today, because I felt sick like this, and I'm thankful to you that you have corrected this problem. But I'm only crying because of my gratitude towards Krishna, or towards God. Yes, and that's what it is. So look at all of these things that Krishna has given us. We always acknowledge the sun and the moon and the water. We all have these, prayers in school. We have sung, yes, oh God, I'm thankful to you, all that. But we don't remember that even the intelligence that we have is because of Krishna. And Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Matta smriti jnanam apohanancha. He says, I am giving this. I give all of this. But we forget. We forget that everything is actually working under Krishna's direction. Everything. Krishna is saying that also. He says everything, all this nature, sometimes we are so awed with nature. He says, nature is so beautiful. But nature is powerful, beautiful, overwhelming. But it's working under Krishna's direction, which we forget. Krishna says this. Maya dhakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. It says Maya adhyakshena. Adhyaksha we all understand? Supervisor? Adhyaksha? Yes, Mukhyadaksha we say this, right? Chief guest and all that. Adhyaksha is the supervisor. And Krishna is saying Maya adhyakshena prakriti. This prakriti or nature is working as per my direction. But we forget to give our gratitude. That's the problem. Everything belongs to Krishna. Right? But now we are coming with this understanding. We are introducing to you all an important concept of akarma. So we know karma, law of karma, which can have good actions or bad actions. Yes, vikarma means bad actions. Yes, or we could be doing punya, which is also a part of karma. That's the whole framework. We have in the if you have to draw a diagram, then we have karma, which has bad and good, vikarma and good karma. But now we are coming to something which is called akarma. It's very interesting. We have to understand that if we have to get rid of this law, cut it, then how do we do it? And why? Why are we looking at that? Simple thing, which we will see again, is good karma is also going to cause you some reaction. Bad karma is also going to cause you some reaction. Good karma may cause you good reaction and you may feel that's good. And bad karma is going to give you bad reaction and you think it is bad. But now we are saying go a little above and say, see, understand what is akarma. So the example is given here of that. Who is she? She's a cashier in a bank. And what does she do? I don't know, some of you probably don't even know the bank. Yes, everything happens on Google Pay now. So we don't know how does a bank look like. I don't think Diksha knows what a bank looks like. Have you ever visited a bank?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's good. So this is this cashier sitting there. And what does her work? Get money put in the deposit. If somebody wants to withdraw, give money. Now suppose, this cashier, Madam Cashier, she is having some financial difficulty. And she says, okay, aaj paisa aaya, just solve this problem. Yes, give away that whatever my loan is. What will happen to her? She'll be caught. She'll be caught. She'll be fired. She'll be sacked and she's out. Right? But what does she do? A good cashier, she does her duty. She doesn't think I'm rich today. Yes, when she gets a lot of money. Or she doesn't think I'm poor today because she has to give away a lot of money. She's working on behalf of the bank. That's it. That's her work. She just counts money day in, day out. All she knows is I have to receive, I have to give money whenever asked. She cannot take anything. But what she gets from the bank? Her salary. She gets from her salary, she can solve her financial problems. So here we are. What we are going to talk about is akarma, when you work like this for authority. And we are saying that Krishna is the supreme authority. Just work for him. Do all that you are doing, everything. Yeah? All that you are doing. You work, somebody is taking care of children, somebody is probably doing other things of cleaning or fighting for the country, so many things. But how nice when you understand who your ultimate authority is. Yes, that's when you can actually understand what is akarma. I begin to pause and say that no, I'm not doing good work or bad work, I'm doing it for Krishna. And it's not so easy to, you feel that how is it possible? How do I do everything that I'm doing it for Krishna? First, intention. What should be our intention? I'm doing it for Krishna. I've got everything from Krishna. Simple. So for example, even when you're cooking, you might think that, oh, how nice, Krishna has given these fresh vegetables for me to cook, spices to cook, all these grains to cook. That's our intention. Yes. Or when you're doing some fantastic project at work, how nice to think that, oh, I've got this intelligence from Krishna. Krishna has given me the intelligence to solve this problem right now, to lead this team that I'm leading. How nice to think about it that way. That's the first way, when you have the right intention. And that's what we saw in the previous slides, that what is the intention. And two, who is the authority? We are safe. Authority is Krishna. But we have to figure that out. Does Krishna authorize this or not? And where do we authorize this from? How? How do we understand? That acha ye sahi hai, ye I think it's okay. What do you think? Okay? From the scriptures, from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will tell you, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. In the sense, he will not tell you do this, don't do this. Mostly if you see in the scriptures, he will say, you do this, this is the consequence. You do this, this is the consequence. Result he will show. Don't do this, ye result ho raha hai. You do this, this is the result. That's the best way to understand what to do and what not to do. By looking at the consequences and choosing wisely. Now I'll tell you a very funny, this man who started attending Gita courses like you, and he came to another devotee who was taking these classes, and he said that, I don't know, I am in a confusion or in little anxiety. So this devotee who was giving his Bhagavad Gita sessions week after week said, Arey, what happened? I said, no, nowadays, earlier when I used to drive on the road, 100 things I used to tell the people on the side. Yes, in Bangalore roads. I get so annoyed, and each 10 meters I go and I say something to somebody. Yes, that's how we will speak. But now he says, this new person, he was saying that now everything I have to speak, I have to do, I pause and I think. Will Krishna approve of it? Is this okay to do? Is this not okay to do? What's happening to me? So this devotee who was giving Bhagavad Gita classes, he said, I think you have given me my fees, tuition fees. I don't take any tuition. I'm just joking in the sense that he felt that his teaching was successful. When you understand that, all right, I have to consult an authority before I take an action, before I do something, right? So your intention and your authority, these are very important, and that was exactly the difference between Arjuna and Duryodhana. Exactly the difference between Arjuna and Duryodhana. With each arrow that Arjuna shot, what was happening? He was going closer to Krishna. And with each arrow that Duryodhana was shooting, he was going farther away from Krishna. Simple. Both of them were fighting. Both of them are Kshatriyas. Both of them, you feel that, oh well, they are doing their duty. But what was wrong? Both were wrong. Intention and authority. Intention of Duryodhana was what? I want to be the sole enjoyer, ruler. I want to be. Me. It was all about me. And what about the authority? Who was the authority? Himself. He was the only authority. But for Arjuna, was it that way? Intention was what? He did not want to fight. But he fought because Krishna had asked him to fight. His intention was to bring back dharma. Thank you. To bring back dharma. That was his intention. And authority was Krishna. So he was safe with all his duty that he was performing. He was going closer to Krishna. Right? So how do we do it in our daily lives? And that's a very nice, sweet picture of Krishna that you can see here. And this verse, which is also very important, it says, let's all say this verse. Yajñārthāt karmano anyatra. Yajñārthāt karmano anyatra.
Yajñārthāt karmano anyatra.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Tadartham karma kaunteya.
Tadartham karma kaunteya.
Tadartham karma kaunteya.
Tadartham karma kaunteya.
Mukta sanga samachara.
Mukta sanga samachara.
Mukta sanga samachara.
Mukta sanga samachara.
Very beautiful verse. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. You might give charity to a beggar, and then what will happen in the next birth? The beggar has to repay you. So you will be born probably as the beggar's son. In whatever situation. Does that mean we do not show compassion? Will not give anything to the beggar? No. Please give. But how? Give something which will not bind you. And what is that? What should we give? How do we understand this? It's the most important part of this verse. Is when you're giving give it with the intention that you want this beggar to somehow or the other come close to Krishna. Therefore, you will give the beggar prasad. You might think that way. From where will I get prasad? And what do I mean by prasad? Anything that's been offered to Krishna. Anything. It could be just a fruit. It could be even some maybe cookies or biscuits or something like that. Yeah, I know of a lot of people who do this, who practice this. They keep with them, fruits that have been offered to Krishna first, bananas maybe, or even Parle-G biscuits I have seen. They offer it to Krishna and then they keep it in the car so that when a beggar comes, they give that to the beggars. This is a very simple example that I am giving you. But what we are trying to impress the point upon you is only this much, that any good or bad work can create bondage for us. Of course, it is important to do good, but let's go a step further and say good may not be enough. We will have to go ahead and understand, well, what's my intention? Is my intention to give charity to become proud? Like you see, in most temples, this was donated by so and so and so. Yeah? So that I'm eternal by giving that charity, maybe a stone in the temple. Right? It's okay. But what's bigger is when you do with the right intention. Yes, we need temple for Krishna. Yes, we need temple for Krishna for what? So that there's more education about the Bhagavad Gita. Temples are not just places of, where people squeeze money out of you. No, they should not be that way. Temples are not places where you go for 5 minutes and feel peace of mind and come back with same anxiety. No, temples are places for education, spiritual education. That's why they're so important. Right? Most of the temples, if you see in Vedic India, they were places where this great knowledge used to be given. Mental health, the knowledge of mental health was so freely imparted. And now we are struggling. Right? Now we are struggling with big universities and colleges and ruined health. But this verse therefore says that whatever work you do, please do it as an offering to Vishnu or Krishna. Yes, and do it with an idea that he should be satisfied. Yes, for his satisfaction. And only in that way we will always remain free from bondage. Right? So that's a karma. When you can do simple things, where we say that everything I do, it's because of Krishna, therefore I offer it back to him. Just complete that cycle. Complete that cycle. And how nice that Krishna doesn't take it away. When you keep a plate of fruits in front of Krishna and you come back and say fruits are over, probably you will stop offering. That doesn't happen. Krishna has left those fruits as they are, but now they've become special. Yeah? Now they've become prasad. And we have this idea in India especially, what is prasad for us? Thoda quantity mein jo milta hai haath mein. We see it, different temples we go, and little they give it, that's prasad, and we honor it. Very nice. But we can have prasadam every day at home. Even the 5 or I don't know how many chapatis you offer and eat, all those can be prasadam. Everything can be prasad. Yes, even your, you say, but Mataji, I make bhel so often at home. Yeah, bhel also can be prasadam. Krishna doesn't mind. You can offer whatever you cook at home, you just keep it in front of Krishna and say that Krishna, please accept it. Simple. It's not so difficult.
Mataji should not have one hand.
Yeah. That's an important consideration. Why? Because, well, if we are cooking for Krishna, then we'll have to keep that in mind, that maybe Krishna has a few likes and dislikes. And Krishna, we will see even in the Bhagavad Gita, in the chapters to come, in the 14th chapter, Krishna very clearly describes about what kinds of food are good for us, what is not good for us, very pungent, and those kind of food items are avoided, and onion and garlic, they're one among them. But yeah, gradually and eventually, but then at least let's begin with the intention. Right? I want to cook for Krishna. I want to keep it in front of Krishna. And so nice how, if I can offer that to all my family members. We take so much care of our family, all of us. But how nice if we take real care. Real care like this. This is real care. Where you feel that no, I must bring everybody closer to Krishna. Because that's in their benefit. Right? I might be acting like that thief, honestly sharing. Right? When I'm so dutifully taking care of my family. But what I forget I forget that I must bring them closer to Krishna. I must also help them understand that you have to be thankful to Krishna. Yeah, the more I do that, the more I'm really taking care of them, and that is a karma. Yes, and we are not here only for punya and papa to discuss that. We don't read Bhagavad Gita to accumulate punya like many people think. You know, we have Bhagavad Gita at home, we do Aarti every day. Yeah, good, good. But that's incomplete. That's not the point at all. If Krishna has spoken the Bhagavad Gita, he would like you to hear also. Yes? It's not for nothing that you just keep it there in the temple and say, all right, very good, it's there, auspicious. Yes, it is. It is. It is very auspicious to keep a Bhagavad Gita at home. Extremely auspicious. Why? Because you have the chance to actually pick it up and go through it. Right? Therefore, very clearly understanding that whatever I am doing should be with this idea that it's not punya or papa that I want to do, but I want to go closer to Krishna, do it as an offering unto Krishna. So then we begin to worship Krishna also in that sense. We have a photo of Krishna at home. All of us have mandir in India. We have a small temple at home. Yes, most of us have. Yeah, very good. We begin with this. Why? A, gratitude. I am showing gratitude to Krishna. B, I am coming closer and closer to him. When I am every day spending some time, I try to figure out what is it that he wants to tell me. So going closer to Krishna, I show my gratitude to him. I try to know more about him so I can show my gratitude properly, correctly. Yes, I can offer foodstuffs to Krishna, and that's something which all of us can do every single day. You know, one of my friends, she was saying, it's now some time that she has started reading the Bhagavad Gita and listening to all this, and she says that, but at home my husband and my children are not very favorable. My husband doesn't quite like all this, but she says, you know what I'm doing? Every day in the morning, I make sure that I offer fruits, dry fruits for Krishna. And whenever I make something which is not cooked with onion and garlic, I quickly offer it to Krishna. I said, bravo, very good, excellent. That's how we start, right? So nice. That we start with our own gratitude. Therefore, we can, we are also, when people in the family are already devotees of Krishna, that's such a nice, you're maintaining them, so your work also is not, you don't have to consider that, oh, this work that I'm doing is anyway binding. No, if you're working because you want to take care of your family members and they're all, you want to bring all of them closer to Krishna, that's all a karma, right? And in this way, if you perform good things like charity, good activities like charity, then you are not bound, right? All of this is a karma. Now we come to this point to understand that human life then is a junction, right? And we have to avoid these 4 sinful activities very clearly. We have to avoid these activities which are considered very, very sinful, like meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit relationships. These actually keep us farther away from Krishna. They put a distance between us and Krishna. So we have to avoid these grossly sinful acts. And remember that whatever a great person does or a leader does, others will follow. So if you are the leader of your family, as a mother, as a teacher, as an important family member, as a father, as a husband, they're all leaders. This is what Krishna says, you're leaders. It's not a leader is only a corporate leader or a monitor of the class or a head girl. Yes, Diksha? I'm sure you're a head girl or something like that. So that's not the only leader. You're all leaders in your own right. So it's how important it is for a leader to follow, so that they guide people in the right direction. So let's also repeat this verse. Yat yat acharati shreshthas
यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः
tat tat evetaro janah
तत्तदेवेतरो जनाः
sa yat pramanam kurute
सा यत्प्रमाणं कुरुते
lokastat anuvartate.
लोकस्तत् अनुवर्तते.
Simple. Yad yat acharati shrestha. Shrestha is a leader. Whatever that leader does, others are going to just follow. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So whatever the so-called leaders are going to do, Shah Rukh Khan or who else, unfortunately, well, they are the leaders. Yes? And then we can't blame our children. We can't blame others. Yes, we can't blame. Because they are setting the standards. And then we feel that, hey, what's wrong? Because these people have set the standards. But we have here the standard given in the Bhagavad Gita, very clearly explaining to us that this is the law, just as a scientific law. Very, very perfect. Yes, the law of karma is extremely perfect, just as much as the law of gravity is perfect. The law of karma is so perfect, never goes wrong. Right? This has been given to us. Therefore, it's important that we understand very clearly all of these basic aspects of this law. Yes, responsibility comes when intelligence is developed. That's the first aspect. Every action will definitely have an equal and opposite reaction. And human life is a junction. Why are we saying this? Because now we are saying when there is a traffic light, it says it goes red and a buffalo crosses the street. Does anybody charge the buffalo? Nobody. Right? All we can do is say, we'll just give it one. It says go. That's all. Nobody charges the buffalo. But if we do that, whistle and stop and fine. This is what is the truth. And that's what is the responsibility. We are human beings. So we have a responsibility. And we have been given this law book. And so that do this, don't do this. If you do this, this is what the consequence is going to be. But some people might say that, well, I'm in a junction, all right, but I don't know what is right, what is wrong. So how can you hold me? So is that true? If somebody is driving on the road and says that, I didn't know that we have to stop on a red signal. What will the police do, traffic police? Yeah. Says, who gave you license? Yes, if you don't know that you have to stop at the red light. You have to stop at the red light is something which is understood that you have to know. Similarly, you can't say, I don't know, therefore there should be no reaction. This is compared to fire. When a little child touches fire, does the fire say, oh little baby, I was not born? Does the fire say? Doesn't care. Right? The fire is not aware of that. Doesn't care for that. Similarly, we can't say that there is a possibility for us to give excuse on ignorance. Right? Therefore, we need to remember this very beautiful verse that comes in the Hitopadesh. It says, Ahara nidra bhayamaithunam cha samanyametat pashubher naranam dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hinaha pashubhir samanaha. So beautiful it is. It says Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya and Maithuna. Ahara is eating, Nidra is sleeping, Bhaya is fear or defense, and Maithuna is your conjugal life, mating. These four things are common between humans and animals. But what is so special about human being? Dharmo hitesho adhiko vishesho. Dharma. this dharma, which some of you asked, what is dharma? To know what is right, what is wrong, is the first step of dharma. And which is given very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So to understand that, oh well, I am not an animal now. I am a human being. I have got this body. I have more responsibility. And therefore you all are here, trying to figure out, because you all are responsible people. Irresponsible people wouldn't have even bothered ever to come here. They don't care. Life is going. So your responsibility comes because of whatever reasons. You went through a problem, but you were responsible enough to think why. Why did this happen to me? Or why did this happen to somebody so dear to me? Why did that person do that? A sense of responsibility is there, a sense of inquiry is there. Right? So, very clearly, this particular verse says that if we don't have that, then we are no better than an animal. We're just a two-legged animal to inquire what is right, what is wrong. And therefore, the scriptures describe that there are so many species of life, but the human being is a very extraordinary species. It's so nice to know from this verse, and it's very interesting. There are 900,000 species living in water, aquatics. There are 2 billion non-living entities, thavara, trees and plants, non-moving, yes? And then there are so many species of insects and reptiles. And then there are also so many of quadrupeds, yes, insects and all that. But how many species of human beings are there? 400,000. It's very interesting. We thought only we. But think about it. There are people who are living in the, in the most dense forests of Australia somewhere. Aborigines. They're another species. And among us also we're different species. So many species of human beings exist. This is what the scriptures are saying. And why are they telling us this? Why this bit of information is given? Because it's told like this, and then it's told that you, well, as a human being, you have a special privilege. And what's that privilege? What's that privilege? What's that privilege? Absolutely. What's your name? Bharat. Yeah, she's from my place. She's very intelligent. Bharat. So it's right. Bharati says that we can think what is right, what is wrong. Animals can't think. Yes? Even if you make several rules for them, you can train them. Yes, you do train. But it's still not so easy. Right? Therefore, death is our final exam. And one has to understand that when this exam comes by, are we trained enough? Right? Krishna says, Antakale chamameva smaran mukva kalevaram. It's a very important verse. It says in the last part of your life, and we feel that abhi to time hai. Yes, but a small boy, we hear a story of a very small boy who tells that how can you say that you are old, you are not old, he is old, she is not old. How can you say that? How do we say that normally? Based on the number of years, right? Says that 45 and 50, so like okay, you're old. Yes? So 50, 55, 60, and he says, yeah, well, old age is coming closer. But this little boy in the scriptures, he says, no, don't think of it that way. What is old age? Old age is closer to death. Correct? Who knows how close we are? Who knows? Who knows how close we are to death? Who knows how old we really are? Right? We don't know that. And therefore, it's so important that we take this responsibility very seriously. Right? It's like the final exam, and we need to prepare really well. Therefore, we need a lifetime of preparation. No matter at what age we have started. Yeah, there's no need to be disappointed, or there's no need to be overconfident, because we don't know how long we're going to live. It's simple. Right? So we have to work on our consciousness. Very, very important. Because Krishna says this again in the Bhagavad Gita, that whatever you think at the time of death, that's what your destination is going to be. Scary? Says, let's recite this verse. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam
Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam
Tyajatyante kalevaram
Yajatyante kalevaram
Tam tam evaiti kaunteya
Tam tam evaiti kaunteya
Sada tad bhava bhavitaha
Sada tad bhava bhavitaha.
Simple. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Whatever you remember. Whatever. Yam yam. Yes. And tyajatyante kalevaram. You give up. Tyagna. Yes. Tyajati. Ante. At the end. Kalevaram is the body. Whatever you're thinking when you're quitting your body, that state you will attain without fail. He's telling this to Arjuna. So if you're all the time thinking about money, for all you know, you might be that Mrs. Cashier who is sitting there at the bank. And what is she doing? Counting money all day long. Right? Or you might be thinking of somebody very dear to you, somebody very close to you. So you'll be born back in that family. Yes? You will keep doing this. And Krishna says, this is your test. This is a big test. And this is a big jump that we did in today's session. Big jump we have done. From beginning to understand what's happiness and all that, duty, we've come to a state to understand, oh, I'm in a, in this human form of life, a junction. I don't want any bondage if I want a fantastic destination, the real happiness. That's the cycle that we are connecting you to. Right? And for that akarma to happen, I need to work on my consciousness. I really need to understand that whatever I'm doing with the right intention and have the right authority. Intention, authority. And that's a difficult thing to work on. I have to work on this continuously. Right? Only then will I be able to give my final exam properly. Otherwise, red mark. Yes, we got red marks. I hope nobody has got. Yes, in school, red mark. Maths used to be red for me till some time. So, we can't give ignorance of the law as any kind of an excuse. We've already done this. Right? We have to understand what is sinful activity and that it will lead to suffering. We need to understand that we have higher intelligence, we have an opportunity, so I do not want to do wrong. But even then, I might do something wrong. And so Krishna answers this question to Arjuna, Arjuna asks this question. He says, what is it, Krishna, that somehow I don't want to do something wrong, but it seems like as if by force I do it. Many of my friends, they had, they used to tell me this when we started discussing the Bhagavad Gita. They said that, please, chicken, ante. and it's difficult, right? It's difficult. But the point is, you're making an effort. That's very important. And how sincere you are in making that effort. How seriously are you taking that? Right? For some of us who are born vegetarians, maybe we don't feel that. But some of us are not. So you find that difficulty and you feel that, it's like pulling me. Everybody is doing it. Why should I not? Yes, you feel that once a week, that's all. So we have interesting vegetarians in India, no? Only we have Friday vegetarians. Yes, and we have lots of course, egg vegetarians. We will let egg, nothing in it. Yes, we have all these strange. Why? The point is to understand our intention. What was our intention? Yeah, what's our intention? Is our intention and our authority right? Okay. So Krishna says, the reason why we do it, he gives here very, very clearly. Kama esha, krodha esha. It says very nicely. Kama esha, krodha esha.
Kamesha Krodesha
Rajo guna samudbhavaha.
Rajoguna Samudbhavaha
Mahashano mahapapma.
Mahashano Mahapapma
Vidhi enam iha haivaram.
Vidyena Nivarinam
Vidhi enam iha vairinam.
Vidyena Nivarinam
Vairi. Vairi is enemy. Right? This is one enemy you have, Vairi. One Vairi. And who is that? This is lust. And we have seen this over and over again. What's lust? This strong propensity to enjoy in separation of Krishna. It's not just the attraction between man and woman as we normally would understand. Yes, it's anything that that obsessive, desire to satisfy our senses in one way. And that's our huge enemy. And it's like it's born out of passion. And we'll understand what exactly is passion, and Krishna very nicely explains that in the future chapters to come. But he says it's this lust that is your all devouring enemy. It's like this fire, you throw whatever you want in it, you'll just consume it, right? So you feel that this much, then I'll be fine. No, it will never happen that way, right? It says keeps on consuming, and that's your enemy, right? And this could be in various ways, like trying to exploit someone else's property, but remembering that everything belongs to God. And therefore, you saw a picture of Hanuman in the previous slides, right? Nobody asked me why was Hanuman there. What did Hanuman do? Hanuman did a very interesting thing. Very, you must think about this for a few seconds. What kind of devotional service he performed to Sri Ram. Yes, Ravana took away Mother Sita. Mother Sita is whose? Sri Ram's. Yes, Ravana took her away from from Lord Ram. What did Hanuman do? Hanuman brought her back to Lord Ram. A very simple act it sounds. Yes. In the process, he got so angry, he burnt the entire Lanka. But does anybody say, Hanuman, you burnt Lanka? No, everybody says, Jai Hanuman, you burnt Lanka. Yes. Why? Because his intention and his authority was just right. What did he want to do? He wanted to take Mother Sita and return her back to where she belonged. That's what is our responsibility too. Yes. So how to handle this lust is to understand this very, very clearly. That I have to offer everything to Krishna. So here in this verse, Krishna says, this lust is there everywhere, in your senses, in your mind, in your intelligence. It's just sitting there. But what happens through this lust? We forget what to do, what not to do. The spiritual intelligence is totally lost. But Hanuman, he was so alert. He knew exactly what I had to do. Therefore, he engaged everything in Krishna's service. All his senses and all his devotees, they are engaging in Krishna's service. Yes, we can look through our eyes the beautiful forms of Krishna. We can hear the beautiful kirtan. Yeah, instead of listening to Bollywood music. Yes, let's hear kirtan all the time. Let's smell the flowers offered to Krishna, tulasi that is offered to his lotus feet. Let's taste prasadam. I hope all of you are liking prasadam that's served here. Yes, it's cooked for Krishna, so it's very tasty. And what can we touch? We can touch the beads to chant. We can hug each other, devotees. Yes, and be very happy in this way. We can very clearly engage all our senses in Krishna's service by chanting, and the mind that is focused or engaged in hearing the mantra, that's the power. The lust which is there in all these places, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra actually helps us in curbing that lust. It's kind of that's why mantra meditation and different forms of meditation are so much emphasized in our Indian culture, Vedic culture. What happens? What happens by mantra meditation? All these places where lust is sitting, we kind of trying to curb it, destroy it gradually, right? So our mind gets engaged. Bhagavad Gita helps our intelligence, like what Krishna is doing here to Arjuna. Yes, he's engaging him, or he's helping him understand intellectually. Yes, by reading the Bhagavad Gita. In that way, not just our gross senses, but our mind and intelligence are also engaged in Krishna's service. So the five senses, sense organs that I showed you, they can be engaged. Mind can be engaged through mantra meditation, and intelligence can be engaged through reading the Bhagavad Gita. Right? We need our intelligence also to be engaged. So in this way, when you are all the time leading your lives without any breaks, yes, there is a stop signal that will come, that should come. You should pause and see that where am I going to engage, how am I going to engage myself in the right service, in Krishna's service. Okay, so now we are close to listening to a story, and then we'll take up a few questions, possibly just before japa. All right, what is this picture? Such a cute picture. This baby Krishna and baby Radharani. Okay, so yeah, many of you all probably don't know who that girl baby is. Yes, so that girl baby is Sri Radha, and we've heard in India of Radha and Krishna. Mostly people try to imitate them by doing dandiya dance and all that. We've heard this, we've seen this, but little do we know that she's the topmost devotee of Krishna. Yes, she is the topmost devotee of Krishna, and there are very, very beautiful pastimes that Krishna had with all his friends, cowherd boys also, and they were these girls also, these gopikas in Vrindavan. And we'll hear one very sweet story today. And the idea again, like I said, every time I tell a story, or we are telling stories, just to take you to this place of Vrindavan and help you understand that Vrindavan is a reality. Yes, and Krishna was there many, many years ago. Krishna did come to to share this love with all of us, correct? So the more we meditate on all these beautiful stories, our mind, our intellect, they become very pacified. We don't become so agitated. What next? What to do more? Yeah, how to become more rich, or how to become more famous, or how to... No, we become a little pacified, slowly and gradually, right? So let's listen to this story. And this story is about the stolen ring. Okay, so let's see what happens once Radha, they're all small. Krishna is also 7 years old. You know what he does? He's a dance teacher. Krishna taught dance to the peacocks, we heard. Krishna is a dance teacher. He's become very famous for his dance. So this little Radha also, she says that, I want to learn dance from Krishna. And all her friends, her very best friends are Lalita and Vishakha. They are her best friends. And they advise her. They say that, want to learn dance from Krishna? And they're all friends. So there's a lot of such talk among them. He says, yes, he knows so many steps. And he says, he is very clever, he's very crooked. So you don't go. But Radha says, no. For the next, I know there is an event coming up. So I need to learn all those steps from Krishna. So she goes to learn. And Krishna, expert dancer, says, yes, I'm going to teach you today dance. And he knows all this movement of neck and hand and everything he knows. How to teach, all that. He knows all this Bharatnatyam, I don't know, divine dance that he teaches Radha. And so Radha is very happy. Shri Radha has learned so many steps of dance, all that happens. Krishna, after the dance class is over, Shri Radha is she's tired, she's looking at the beautiful scenery around. And in that span, what does Krishna do? He just steals her ring, one of her rings. And this is what Shri Radha's friends would have warned. He's very clever, he's very crooked. So be a little careful of this Krishna. And Krishna steals this ring. And Radharani, because she's so, she's tired, she doesn't even notice that Krishna has quietly slipped away her ring. And that ring is a very precious ring, which is gifted by Radha's mother to Shri Radha on one of her birthdays. It's a very, very beautiful, prized ring. Okay, dance class over, Radha goes back, comes back to all her friends, and they say, how was it? She says, oh, it was so good, this and that, she says, and she's on, all dance costume and dance jewelry. So Vishaka, her friend, is responsible for every day, keeping her jewelry in place. So she says, okay, remove all this now. So she helps Radha remove all her jewelry. And she counts. Do you know how many pieces of jewelry Radharani wears? 64. Yeah, 64 pieces of jewelry she wears. So Vishaka, while putting back all the jewelry, she counts and she puts every day in the proper box. And she says, 63? And we know where that one went. Yes, Radha didn't know. She said, how come? Vishaka says, I told you. Radha says, what? What are you saying? He says, yeah, I know. Krishna has stolen it. He says, what are you saying? He says, he can't steal. Why will Shyam Sundar steal? He says, he has stolen. I will tell you he has stolen. And Vishaka, she just charges. She just goes to Krishna and says, give back. Give back Radha's ring. The 7-year-old boy, he turns to Vishaka and says, what ring are you talking about, Vishaka? He says, I'm a boy, 7-year-old boy. What would I know about rings and all, about girls? What would I know about girls? Are you talking about the nose ring or the earring, the toe ring or finger ring? So Vishaka says, Acha, you know so much about girls. That they wear all these rings. And you're saying you don't know anything? So Krishna says, I haven't done anything. So Vishaka says, now you have to come. All the gopis are waiting, all my friends are waiting. Come right there. Krishna is happy. He says, okay. It's okay, I'm coming. And he goes. And all these girls they surround him. And they say, now we are going to body check. So they all start looking for ring. Searching Krishna like that. Imagine the humiliation, but Krishna is smiling. And what happens? This one of the friends, she actually gets the ring tied here in his waist. Cloth that he ties like this. The ring is right there and says, hey, look, I found the ring. Here it is. And Radha was so, she didn't know what to say. She was so shocked. She says, Krishna, you actually stole my ring? And I was saying that you will never do that. So all the gopis said, they said so beautifully. They said, how did you believe this Krishna? He steals butter. He steals gopis' clothes. Yes, he steals our sins. He steals everything. He steals our heart. Why do you think he can't steal the ring? Right? So a poet, a devotee, a Vaishnava poet writes so beautiful. He says, Chauragraganyam Purusham Namami. He says, the foremost of thieves, I offer my pranams to you. He is the foremost of thieves. And here he is. He has stolen Shri Radha's ring. What's the punishment then? Radha says, nothing. I'm going to just stop talking to you. That's it. No more talking. Children do this. Katti batti, all that. There's no talking to you anymore. And Vishaka is very happy. And she goes around announcing everybody, okay, everybody has gathered by then, so much commotion, so everybody has gathered, and she says, okay, listen everybody. Radha is not going to talk to Krishna anymore. That's it. Krishna, you may go. She's so happy and proud. So So Krishna is so embarrassed now. It's like he was being sent away like this. He goes, and his friends are waiting there. They're like, what have you done? What did you do in front of everybody who did this? Anyway, come, let's go. So they all went. Now, Vishaka is still not happy with the punishment. She says, Radha, you must teach this Krishna a lesson. How dare he stole this ring from you? So Radha says, what can we do? What more can we do? I'm not talking to him. He says, no, we should also steal something from him. Radha says, steal? I don't know how to steal. I'll teach you. He says, okay. So they plan. What do they plan? He says, I know exactly what time Krishna goes where in the forest. So his work is nothing big, no? He goes around with cows. Krishna's work is that much. Yes, all he does is herd the cows. So he says, I know exactly what time he will come here. That time they would be resting. That's the time they plan everything. They make a big plan. So, next day, when Krishna and his friend Madhumangal, we heard about Madhumangal in the last class, the fat friend of Krishna. He is sleeping with Krishna. He's a very cute and plump friend of Krishna. And he's, what his normally he does. When they go to sleep, Madhumangal, they take a nap. No, in the afternoon after meals, they take a nap. And Madhumangal ties with a small rope. He ties his leg and Krishna's leg together. Why? Because what if Krishna gets up after sleep and goes away to play without him? So both of them are sleeping with this little rope tied, one leg Krishna's and one leg Madhumangal's. And there come Radha and Vishaka. Vishaka says, now go, now is the right time. They're in deep sleep, go. And what does Radha steal? She steals Krishna's flute. She steals Krishna's chadar. She steals Krishna's anklet. And she steals Krishna's stick, which he uses for the cows. 4 things. Everything. And they run away from there. Vishaka says, wait. What does she do more? She goes near Madhumangal and she cuts off his moustache. Madhumangal has a moustache because he is older to Krishna. He's a little older to Krishna. Okay, so he must have been a teenager when little moustache starts coming and you're very proud about it. And Vishaka just trims it off and very awkwardly. Now they get up and Krishna, he looks at Madhumangal and starts laughing. He says, hey Madhu, what happened to your moustache? Madhu says, what happened? And then Krishna, he looks for his flute. There's no flute. And then he stops laughing and both of them get serious. He says, no flute, no chadar, no stick, no anklet. I think I know what has happened just now. Yes, I know who the visitors must have been here. So something, they guessed who has done this. And they says, Madhu says, who do you think? Krishna says, it's not so difficult to guess, Madhu. It must have been Shri Radha along with her friends who have come and stolen all this. How do we get this back? Now they make a plan. Now the story is going a little long. Yes, but it will end now. So then they make a plan. What do they make a plan? Let's dress up like gopis. So Krishna and Madhu, they wear saris. These little half saris that they wear. Very beautiful skirts and all. And they go dressed like little elderly gopis, not so young. Yes, so they look a little, they try to look older than what they are. And where do they go? They go to Radha's village. So Shri Radha lives in a village called Barsana and Krishna lives in a village called Nandagam. Vrindavan, around there. So then they go as dressed as gopis, both of them, and both of them are crying loudly, oh Gopi, where is Krishna? How long will it take to see him? And the other gopi says, please calm down, don't be in so much anxiety, we will see him one day. So Radha and Vishaka who are there, they hear this. They say, Sari, who is this? They're looking for Krishna. Let's go and talk to them. So they go and talk. Says they are not in a position to hear. They're crying so much. They say that we want to see Krishna and can anybody show them Krishna? So Radha, she calls back Vishaka. She says, let's pacify them. They're crying so much. You know what? I have a plan. I have everything of Krishna's. I can dress up as Krishna. I have his flute. I have his anklet. I have his chadar. I have his stick also. So let me dress up like Krishna. This is a good idea. Come, you dress up as Krishna, I dress up as another cowherd boy. Let's both come here and say that we are Krishna, so they'll stop crying. This is a good idea. And what happens? So she comes with all the stolen items. Yes, with Krishna's flute, with Krishna's anklet, with Krishna's stick and chadar, and she comes very beautifully playing on the flute and says, "Here is Krishna." And yes, the gopis, the two gopis says, "Acha, here is Krishna." Yes, they remove their disguise and they say, "Here, give us back our things." Right? This is such a, and all the gopis gathered there, they start laughing and they're so happy that Krishna has once again outwitted them. Yes, he always outwits them. So this was just a sweet story of what kind of pastimes happened between Krishna and Krishna's friends. Right? I hope you all enjoyed the pastime, and this is more again, like I tell, to take you back to Vrindavan, to this beautiful place, and that's possible only when we all chant. Yes, we all chant regularly. We know that this is an open secret. Reading Bhagavad Gita regularly, understanding that we cannot feign ignorance, right? Bhagavad Gita has everything, and through regular chanting, reading, Bhagavad Gita is available on this particular website for all of you, free of charge. Yes, online also it's available, you can read. But for now, it's time to chant. Remember Krishna, and we have to chant. Why? Because Krute yadhyayato Vishnu Tretayam yajato makhaihi Dvapare paricharyayam Kalau tad Hari Kirtana. Yes, Hari Kirtana is what is prescribed in Kali Yuga. Right? Other things are in different ages. And also we know Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashakam Nam Kali Kalmashanashanam Natah Parataropayah Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. There is no other solution apart from chanting Krishna's name. So while the beads are being distributed, if you have any questions, please ask. Any questions you may ask, and then we will start chanting. Okay. So by now it's the fourth time. Yeah, you have a question? Please go ahead.
So, Mataji, we know that Krishna had many wives. Rukmini being the most important. So how do we explain that, and how do we then explain the relationship with Radha?
Very nice. Well, that's a not so easy to answer this question on how do we understand Radharani. But what we need to understand is, let's not bring Krishna to our level of understanding, in the sense. So there is an instance which is described in the scriptures in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna was lured by some apsara, and Krishna, in a different form of course, he says, "You're luring me." He brings out apsaras from his own thighs. They appear. Why this instance is there is to help us understand that Krishna has so many wives, so many, to be precise. How many? Does anybody know? 16,108 wives. Right? But actually speaking, all of us are his wives too. Everybody, irrespective of whether we are in a female body or a male body. In the sense that he is the only Supreme Lord, in the sense to understand as Purusha, and the rest of us are all Prakriti. That's not probably so easy to understand. But what is more relatable is that everything, all of us have come from Krishna. We belong to him. So that he has only 16,108 wives is for the pastimes, the beautiful leelas that we relish, that oh, it happened this way. And all of them, they're very fortunate. They're very high devotees of Krishna who could actually get Krishna as their husband. Right? And coming to speak of Srimati Radharani, so actually Radha and Krishna, they're not different. It's just that we need to understand this way, that while Krishna could be understood as the male embodiment, Radharani would be the female embodiment of God. Right? So in that sense, we understand Radharani to be the source of all of his wives as well. Right? So Lakshmi and Rukmini, all of them, their source is from Sri Radha. Does that give you some satisfaction? Any other questions? So today is the fourth session that you're going to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and I hope you're all beginning to relish it. We really have to relish chanting Krishna's names, and that's possible only when we do it on a very regular basis, not just on Saturdays. Right? So you can do it at home. Now you know how to chant. So you can do it at home. You can buy beads from here. You can buy the beads and you can start chanting every day at home. At least begin chanting one round and experience that. And when you're chanting alone, it's even more in the sense. When you begin to chant alone at home, you begin to wonder, what am I doing? Can I make it as a regular practice? Which is very good. You can make it. You understand that this does not have to be only a Saturday affair. It can be an everyday affair. Right? It's chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is not so. It's not so difficult. It doesn't require any. It's not like a havan that you are doing, right? Which requires people to be there. Nothing. You just chant. You have the beads with you. So, Monica, Mataji, shall we chant Krishna's names now?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. So, anyone coming for joining us for the first time? So, as you know, most of us are coming sincerely week after week. So, anyone would like to volunteer how to do japa?
Very nice. So what she's asking is, anyone, one of you want to come in front and explain how to chant?
Yeah, simply.
That's a good initiative. Does anybody? Oh, very good. Okay.
So Hare Krishna everyone. So we have this bee, and this is the head bee. We call it as, we consider as Krishna. So it is the Krishna bee. And we chant Panchatattva mantra on this beat, like Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Kaur Bhakta Vrinda. And then we start with the proceeding beats like Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we will not touch this finger to any of the beat here. So we'll start chanting with the head beat. Okay, so I'll chant the Panchatattva mantra and you can chant along with me. Okay. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Kaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare